in tune to Ron March Show every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, blasting out of Detroit in the great territory known as the Northwest Ordinance Territory. They named it, we didn't. Hooked up 5 states, put it all in together, call it the Northwest Ordinance. Detroit being the head of the complete territory. Detra. Alrighty. So today is today's date. We are getting on down here. It's September 15th, and we're going to. We got a good show today. There's so much involved in everything that's going on. Everything that's happening is for a reason and for a cause. Do not be surprised if Carson is not the winner of the Republican Party. It's time to give the leadership, black leadership, to the Republican Party. Just like they gave the leadership of the Democratic Party to a blackie. They had to see how it would work. I'm looking at it very, very carefully. That idiot you got out front, I don't know what to say about him. He's not important at all to me. And if they put him in, well, we're definitely looking for World War II, III, IV, and V. With that son of a gun in there talking all that bull crap. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't concern us. Our so-called leadership, and I'm speaking of the DEY, D-E-Y. You know, we talked about that. They have already taken over and filed the proper paperwork to know how to control the Negroes. They have the blueprint as to how to treat the masses of black folks. You know, you're probably not ready for it yet, but I'm telling you, I gotta let it all hang out, because we are in a process of nothing but facades, nothing but fictitious entities. Everything that we see is not real. We are being controlled by a black core of super rich black folks that hang out in the upper New York area, known as Winchester County, somewhere up in there. I'd love to go up there and look around, but I'd be afraid that would be one murder that no one will investigate. I understand they all carry pistols because they know that we may be coming one day to see what the hell's going on up there. So what I'm really talking about is the Moore leadership. You just can't seem to get it in your mind that the Moors, and now the word Moors is nothing more than Negro. There's no difference between Moors, Negroes, coloreds, blacks. It's all the same crap. It's a label that the system has given us in order to identify us. Now they can break the Moors down. They use the 5 civilized tribes to break it down. I'm going to still do a show on that 5 civilized tribes. I'm trying to get my research together. And it's going to take a minute or two because I got it. I know what I'm looking for. I just can't seem to put my fingers on it. However, the 5 civilized tribes will give you the information you need as to who you really are, what tribe you're from, and where you are, and where you are in the system of things. So all I can do is let you know. You do your own research to find out what's going on, and everything will be wonderful. All right? Now, today's show, we're going to deal with the Uniform Commercial Code. I know a lot of leaders, a lot of presenters have said you must stay away from that Uniform Commercial Code, UCC. Well, I'm telling you that all commerce in the United States, and we are controlled by the United States. We live in America, but we are invaded by these individuals who have set up a seat of their own, government of their own, known as United States of America, Inc. You got to understand that. That's trickery. They try and say that the Constitution gives them a right, but they never said they had a right to set up a corporation. Never. And we're going to deal with that. The first package I'm going to deal with is a law, which is a stare decisis, statute at large, law, stare decisis. Some of you heavyweights need to look that up. Stare decisis, S-T-A-R-E, stare decisis, D-E-S-I-S-I-S, decisis. It's known as a law that was passed, voted on, wrestled in court, tried once, tried again, and tried again. And it has never changed. It becomes a statute at large. It's voted on because they cannot change that law. The law I'm getting ready to read you is the one that sets up this madness. It was founded in, it was declared decisive back in 1795. It's very important that you know this law. Very, very, very important. What do we call it? We had a caller that called in challenging me one Wednesday, probably latter part of last year or the first of this year. We labeled him Captain Gadget. He was a retired state policeman, Captain Gadget, trying to tell me what he is and what ain't, and what he is and what he ain't. I'm not calling him out. I'm just reading what I told him that's on the books already, that we are all under, and yet we are not even aware of it. This is a United States Supreme Court case that they tried to hide. Anytime they have a stare decisis law, they try to keep it away from the masses because it will shut down this bull crap known as United States of America, Inc. So I want you to listen carefully to this law. Okay? United States Supreme Court of the United States, 1795. Inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, and a creature of the mind only. A government can interface only with other artificial persons. I need to stop there. And for you individuals that have never looked at your driver's license, your credit cards, your debt, credit bills, your utility bills, and never even thought why it's in all capital letters, that is it right there. The United States of America can only deal with, since it is a fictitious entity, it can only communicate with fictitious entities. And 99% of you Moors, quote unquote, Negroes, coloreds, black, Afro-Americans, whatever you want to call yourself, other than your nationality, whatever that may be, all of your mail comes to your house in all capital letters. The imaginary have neither actual nor substance, is foreclosed from creating and attaining parity with the tangible. You cannot. It's like mixing water and oil. It won't mix. So you have to be, in order to exist in the United States, you must have an artificial person or an artificial character, which is known as a straw man. You can call him a straw woman, whatever it may be, whatever your desires are. But you must have a straw man in order to exist, live, survive in United States. The legal manifestation of this is that no government, as well as any law, agency, aspect, court, etc., can concern itself with anything other than corporate, artificial persons, and the contracts between them. You need to get this law and read it for yourself. It's S, capital S, period, C, period, R, period. 1795, Penhallow versus Dones, D-O-A-N-E-S, Dones, administrators. 3 should be Title 3 U.S. 54, semicolon 1, capital L, education, ED, period, 57, semicolon, 3, DAL, D-A-L-L, period, 54. They have hidden this law. It's called Penhallow versus Dones, P-E-N-H-A-L-L-O-W, Penhallow, H-A-L-L-O-W, Penhallow versus Dones, D-O-A-N-E. Look it up for yourself. Read it. You can only deal with corporate. That's why the birth certificate is so important. You relieve yourself of the corporate status when you file your administrative birth certificate and take it through the process of authentication. You are eliminating the all caps. Now, the all caps does not disappear. It will always be there because they took your mother out, the government owns it, and you are the trustee, I think you're the trustee, of the corporation. But you don't know it because they made you a debtor. You cannot be a trustee and be a debtor. You have to be a creditor. And they use trickology to make you think you are a debtor. No one in my ear sight or ear sound is a debtor. As long as you have a hand and a pencil, you are never a debtor because you can create funds. You can create so-called money that the government of the United States recognizes. You know, I wish I had someone that I could communicate with so that I can find out if you really understand what I'm saying. This law clears up everything. You must have a straw man in order to survive in the United States. And a straw man can only communicate with a straw man. A corporation can only communicate with a corporation. A fictitious entity can only communicate with a fictitious entity. You need to understand this. This is a clear distinction in this particular case between an individual and a corporation. That the latter, which would be the corporation, has no right to refuse to submit its books and papers for an examination at the suit of the state. When you tell the corporations to bring their books in, if you quote this law, they don't have a choice but to bring them in or have them sent in. Now, you got to understand, you got to go at it as you're going to represent your straw man. So your straw man is asking them to bring their paperwork in. You are there only as a guidance, they got legal words, it's not coming to me. You're only there to represent the straw man. Anytime you go to court, once you establish yourself and get out of the all caps, when they call for the straw man to come to court for any reason, and you decide to go, you must send a special invitation. I keep telling you that, to let them know that you're going to bring the straw man, but you have no You do not govern over me. You govern only over the straw man. And I control the straw man so I can accept or reject whatever you're trying to do. Now, if you tell me he's got to go to jail, I'm going to tell you, take the birth certificate and go ahead and put it in the cell. Because when you ask me who I am, I'm going to spell my name, capital R, lowercase O-N-A-L-D, Ronald. March, capital M, A-R-C-H, lower caps. To let you know for sure you're not talking to me. Judge is not going to like it, but you got to do it. That's why we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or last week, we were talking about you must present your status as soon as you get in court. And you got to go to court. You can pick and choose when you want to go, but you got to go to court. I'm not telling you to start slapping cops or doing something stupid, but you have to go to court. And you have to present yourself as to who you really are. And the best way to say who you are is to say who you are not. You never want to be a 14th Amendment citizen. This law, again, the Supreme Court case that they do not want us to know about, of 1795, inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, and a creation of the mind only. The government can interface only with other artificial persons. It's not too hard to understand. Now, when you get into the information of, you must understand, you are the creditor when you go into court. You're not the debtor. You are above the judge. You're above the prosecutor. Their oath is to the Supreme Court. You were here before the Supreme Court. If they showed up in 1714, you were standing here looking at them when they showed up. That's why they try to make you understand that you came from afar, so they would have control over you. They try to make you think they had everything set up, and they went over there and took you out of the jungles and brought you over here and gave you some bananas and put you out in the cotton field. That's what they teach. To our children, to our parents, to everybody. They teach that trash to everybody. And we never challenge it. And our so-called Negro leaders never challenge it, because their job is to make sure that we understand the concept that we are debtors. We were brought here on slave ships, and we owe our lives to the country store, them damn Europeans that brought us over. So if you can't get that in your mind, you might as well give up trying to be free. Because if you don't act free, know what freedom is, you'll never be free. And when I say freedom's not free, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about commitment. You have to commit yourself to be free. You got to act like you're free. Yes. Now, when he gets into the particulars of court, the individual may stand upon his constitutional rights as a citizen. He is entitled to carry on his private business in his own way. His power to contract is unlimited. He owes no such duty to the state. You owe the judge, the prosecutor, and this lying-ass lawyer nothing. You owe them a damn thing. They owe you, because had you not signed your name to whatever the reason that you're in there, if you had not signed your name, you wouldn't be in court. So if you are the individual that caused the situation to be in the court, then you must be the creditor. How can you not be the creditor? No one of you can show me any contract that Sears and Roebuck signed or a dealership sign that you owe them. Don't even try to do it. And if you can't figure it out, don't call me. But I'm telling you now, you do not have a contract. You may have an agreement, but you do not have a contract. That's why they say you have the power to contract is unlimited. The power for you to contract is unlimited. And that means when you make a contract, you must have a signature. He owes no such duty to the state since he receives nothing from them. What did you receive from the courts? Nothing. What did you receive from Sears? Nothing. Oh, I got a lawnmower. Okay, good. Try to take that lawnmower out of the store without signing the contract or the agreement and see what happens to you. You're going to go to jail that day, that night, that instant. That's stealing. But once you sign it, they say, okay, take it on home. Why do they say that? They tell you, take it on home. They say it because you have paid for it when you sign. There is no money. Your sweat and brow of your brow is what they use to pay off all of your debts. That so-called Siskiyou account that it was worth $80 to $100 million at your 18th birthday, they draw on that. You give them permission to tap into that every time you sign your name, because there is no money. It's so clear to me. It's just pathetic when people get hung up in it. Now they're not going to give in a fight without. They're not going to give in without fight. I'm not saying that. But if you don't have your head on right, what you're talking about, you're going to lose every time. He owes no such thing beyond the protection of his life and property. That's all he owes. His rights are such as existed by law and of the land, law to organization of the state, and can only be taken from him by due process of law. Due process of law. That's not a foreclosure. Foreclosures are not due process. Foreclosure is nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. And I'm going to prove it to you today if you can understand what I'm getting ready to run on. We're going to get into that today. You can figure it out through the Uniform Commercial Code. Foreclosure is a Ponzi scheme or a circus magic trick that you think you see something and you really don't. Among his rights are a refusal to incriminate himself and the immunity of himself and his property from arrest or seizure except under a warrant of law. See, this particular law or this particular Supreme Court case covers everything. It's almost the foundation of the Constitution. Our brothers gave this to them. They signed a contract under this. They made their Supreme Court rule on this and accepted on the books. And all you have to do is read it. But see, you got to know your rights. I can give you 1,000 articles to read, and you'll be just as dumb or dumber after you finish the article if you don't have some type of knowledge of what you're reading. To be smart is not the case. To have knowledge of being smart is the case. That's where your power lies. You don't have to be in everything to know everything. You just got to know that something out there exists that you need to know about. And when it's time for you to get into that, you know it exists. Don't tell me you're crazy. That can't be. It must be out of your pea-picking mind. That's the main reason why we're in trouble today, because of idiots They get locked in because the European told them something, and they say take it for work. Oh, he got a PhD. What the hell you got? Well, I'm not brainwashed with the bullshit. I can tell you that. That's one thing I don't have. I am a high school dropout, and I think I know more about foreclosures than lawyers that fight it in court. I just don't have the network, or a better word for it, the credentials, or a better word for it, would be the support of Congress to back me, or the support of the courts to back me. These secret orders are set up for a reason. 85% of all members of secret orders are idiots. Probably higher than that. 90% of all secret orders, they're idiots. They think that they're in there to party. They think they're in there for benefits and privileges, all that kind of stuff. No, that ain't got nothing to do with it. They got you in there because you swore an oath to obey. And if you violate that oath, depending on the secret order that you're in, if you disobey that oath, they have a right to put a hit on your ass. Look at the police department. Look at the police department. That's a perfect example. They all belong to a fraternal order, secret order. That's been sanctioned by the state. The state's been sanctioned by the government. And the government is the contract or the corporation that supports all police officers. And they give them immunity to do whatever they want them to do. But of course, you don't know that. You think that everything they do is, I want to grow up and be a police officer. Yeah, no, none of mine would do that. Because once you swear in, because it doesn't matter if you got a black cop or a white cop. If the black cop is not going to participate in the beating or the killing of a black person, he's going to stand by and let it happen. He cannot challenge that. He's sworn to support his brothers. That's another thing that drives me up a wall. You hear all these civil rights all-stars, these nigger pundits, legal pundits. Oh, we got to get more black police officers. No, we don't. We need to keep all them peckerwoods right out there. So at least we got another tool to fight them, civil rights. Because if you put a black police department out there, they're going to do the same thing the peckerwoods do once they get sanction of their fraternal order. And the name of the game is to protect your brothers within the organization, and the organization itself is to protect the United States. And since the United States has already said, and I've proven it to you over and over again, I'll tell you again, the 20 sections of the 13th Amendment, there's 20 sections, not 20. Number 12 will tell you, anyone of African descent shall never be a citizen of the United States. It's still on the book. And if you think I'm lying, damn it, flip your TV back and listen to Huckabee when he went down there and got that old hillbilly out of jail. He said it. It's just like a Dred Scott case. It's on the books that black folks will never be citizens. But we don't keep them out of anything. Well, no, y'all know you don't. But it's on the books. He said it. One of your president candidates. I said, he called me an idiot. Ron, you trying to start something. Well, he said it right on TV. You heard it, didn't know what you're listening to. What the hell that Peckerwood doing talking about Dred Scott? Why is the Dred Scott case still on the books? It's never been repealed. They went and set up the 13th Amendment to try to fool you to say that, well, don't worry about that because 13th Amendment wipes it out. No, it don't. The 13th Amendment supports slavery and kicking Dred Scott back on the plantation because he's not a citizen in the United States. And to show you that it's real, Dred Scott was a Peckerwood name, so he belonged to the Europeans. How's the slave going to tell his boss, you're going to set me free? You can't do it. I know. Don't think I'm crazy. But I'm telling you now, I'm not. Among his rights are a refusal to incriminate himself and the immunity of himself and his property from arrest or seizure except under a warrant of the law. He owes nothing to the public so long as he does not trespass upon their rights. Upon the other hand, the corporation is a creature of the state. Corporations are creatures of the state. They are a legal corporate entity, a creature. What the hell is a creature of the state? It is presumed to be incorporated by the benefit of the public. It receives certain special privileges and franchise and holds them subject to the laws of the state and the limitations of its charter. So all the problems you run into with the police department is in their charter that's been sanctioned by the United States. Well, first it's sanctioned by the city, and then the city's corporations are sanctioned by the United States of America, Inc. Its powers are limited by law. It can make no contract, not authorized by its charter. Its rights to act as a corporation are only preserved to it so long as it obeys the laws of its charter. And you can find that under Hale versus Hinkle, 1905. Particularly note that the rights of a natural person, an American, I'm a natural person, I'm an indigenous American, precedes the organization of the state. I was here before the state. The common law rights of the individual are senior to any contrary statutes or regulations. That's called color of law. Everything they've set up is nothing but color of law. It's a directive that resembles the law. You probably never heard that term, color of law. The people who masquerade as so-called government have used various means to trick their victims to unwittingly submit to statutory jurisdiction. You look up the word statutory. That's not a law. That's a directive or an assumption of a law that has to be processed through the state courts. And each state has a process to change a statute into a law. And 90% of all so-called law are statutes, especially when it comes to traveling. When it comes to your automobile, if you don't kill someone or have a wreck and destroy someone's property, everything else is a statute. And you can challenge whatever law they talk about, such as speeding. That's not on the books nowhere. That's a statute. They set it up through a city ordinance. They changed the speed in certain areas and put them up in other areas. And then when you come through, especially when you're coming off the expressway, or when the expressway goes into a street, they'll throw a sign up prior to going into the street. You got 70 on the expressway, and then you got to do 35. So you got 300 feet before you be in the 35 zone. And put a cop in there and give you a ticket. You'll speed. Nobody challenges that. What law? Show me the law. They can only show you a statute. Statute is not a law. I didn't kill anyone. I didn't have a wreck. Where's the victim? If I'm a criminal and you say I broke the law, you're giving me a ticket. So where's the victim? Definition of United States. United States means a federal corporation. B, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of United States. Or C, an instrumentality of United States. An instrument of United States. Those are the people. Those are the 14th Amendment citizens. That's what I call instrumentalities. And all of this comes under, you can look it up for yourself. United States of America, Inc., nonprofit, Delaware Corporation, incorporated April 19th, 1989. Good gracious. No, 1889. Sorry. You done threw me off. The filing number is here, 219-3946. United States of America, Inc., nonprofit, Delaware Corporation, incorporation, entity name, United States of America, Inc., entity kind, corporation, entity type, religious nonprofit, residency, domestic state, DE, status, void tax information. United States of America, Inc. is a religious corporation that does not pay taxes. So all of its corporations that are attached to Delaware and United States of America, Inc. do not pay taxes. So why does the instrumentalities pay taxes? Because you don't know the difference between income and wages. They can only tax income, a gain. A wage, your 40-hour work week, is not a gain. That's a living process. I'll say, Ron, you sound good, but you're crazy as a lunatic. Okay, I'll buy that. They got a book called Count Volney, the author of Ruins of Empire. It was translated back in 1750 through 1812. Himself was an American statesman, well known for drafting the Islam Appeasing Treaty of Tripoli. That was a treaty that the Moors gave to United States of America, in which it was written that United States of America is not, in any sense, founded on Christian religion. The Treaty of Tripoli. The law is the 8th statute 154. Now, it comes under the book called The Ruins of Empires. They changed it in 1750, and that's before the 1776. He wrote the book. In 1812, they had already signed the contract. But under the Treaty of Tripoli, in which it was written and signed by the United States of America, is not in any sense founded on Christian religion. The United States of America is a religious corporation now managed by Queen Elizabeth and under control of the Vatican. I've said that 1,000 times. The Pope's laws are arbitrarily obligatory on everyone. The Pope's laws is on everyone. They got it all down here. Therefore, all said Moors contracting with United States/United States of America are chattel property of the corporation known as the Vatican. Go to www.manta.com for that website, owned by Dun & Bradstreet. If you research the private corporation called United States Government, you will find that the owner is listed as being Archbishop, I love to say it, Derek J. McLeod of the Basilica of the Nation or the National Shrine of the Immaculate conception of Washington, D.C. Since archbishops of the Vatican are sworn to poverty, then the archbishop can only be named agent for the circular so-called Roman Empire, situated in the city called Vatican, the papal state. According to elements of ecclesiastic law, number 20, the Pope can abolish any law in the United States because it is a religious corporation, a said Christian society. Now, woo! That's some mean stuff. Mean. Y'all write me, email me, and I'll send you a copy of this. This is deep stuff. And it's backed up by law. I don't bring nothing to you. I put some bull crap. If I give you bull crap, I tell you it's bull crap. Or it's a commentary. There you go. It's a commentary. But everything I've given you thus far is backed up by their law. So I have broken no law. I'm only bringing to you what they have put on their books. You don't know about it. Because these are the laws that will free you once you know this. And all you have to do is know it. You don't need to go out in the street and march and say, we shall overcome, and prayer books and Martin Luther King on the mountain, all that bull BS. You don't need to do all that. Just to have this knowledge puts you in a state of secured creditor. You're the top dog. Now, since they set this madness up, and I mean madness, and they tricked you to believe that you are the debtor responsible for all the debts that they, the Queen and the Pope, create. Plus, we're the army that goes out and drops bombs and kills people. And they do it on the whim of the Pope. We're supposed to be way out there. We're supposed to be way out there, the Pope. And what he does is they decide through their banking institution. They got a big bank in a Banco bank in the Vatican. I've been there. I've been in the Vatican. I've been to the Vatican. I've been inside all that mess over there. I've seen all that stuff. It's something to see, y'all. I'm telling you. Something to see. I've seen it all. And they got a big bank over there called Banco. I don't know where it founded, but Banco. So between Banco and IMF and what's the other? Bank of America. The other bank I can't think of. IMF and it's two big banks, and then you got the Banco. They dictate what they need and when they need it. They can take the money situation and bounce it up and down anytime they get ready. They have you and the world. That's why they go into these countries and set up their own government. Wipe out the existing government. Right now, they're so mad at Iran, they just don't know what to do. If it wasn't for China and Russia, they would just bomb Iran right off the map. But what you don't know is they already bombed them and killed them off the map in 1975 when they had a free election, minding their own business, but they had gugobs of oil. And the United States and its partners, well, I bet I'll back up, the Pope and the Queen, said we need to get that oil. So they supported a candidate to become the president of the Shah of Iran. Once he got in office, he was not what they thought he should be. So they put a hit on him and ran him out. 1975. Look it up. They don't want to talk about that. All this mess they talking about today is the byproduct of what they did to Iran in 1975. Killed all them people over there. Ran them out. And then they put the Shah of Iran in there, the biggest brutal dictator, probably one of the worst on earth. If you didn't agree with him, he chopped your head off. He had some sons that ran hit squads, did everything on the negative side, plunder, stealing. They did everything. So when when Iran finally got in a position to raid that damn embassy over there, when Reagan, not Reagan was first, it was Jimmy Carter. They was all upset. Oh, they had 80 something workers that they kept for close to over 300 days. They couldn't believe it. Finally, they made a deal to get the hell out, get that damn Shah, that two-for-nickel family is, and all that bull crap. Get them out of there. And they brought him into Florida. And then they killed him when they got him here in Florida because he had too much information. This is history. I know you don't know about it, probably don't care. But if your sons have to go over there and fight, you'll start looking at this thing when it's too late. You need to know about it now. It's unbelievable. And these two-for-nickel so-called Republicans, but they ain't no different than the Democrats. Don't get me wrong. They got nerve to be screaming about the damn treaty that they set up. Obama knows what the treaty's about. He knows what he did. He knows that he didn't get anything out of it. He's trying to make peace with them people. That's a whole different program. Okay? But since you are an unknown debtor, when they set up this madness in 1933, they had to come up with a scheme in order to make you understand, respect, and love the United States of America, that you were a debtor. You were so dumb, they trained you, or trained us, to purchase items, ticket items like a car, drive that baby home, leaning, blowing your horn, letting mama look at it and all your honeys and shit, and then you stand on the porch for 30 days waiting on the first payment to come. And all you had to say to them was, I want my note back. Once you resolve the debt, not resolve the debt, once you had climaxed the transaction and got the automobile, now you want them to give you back your promissory note. Because that's the only thing that the courts will say that you have to make payments to pay it off. But you paid it off when you signed the damn quote unquote promissory note. Because you turn over when you get that long pink piece of paper, it's got all the goodies on the front and it got all that writing on the back. It starts out in the first paragraph and says, I promise to pay the manufacturers of this automobile X number of dollars. That's the biggest lie ever told. Because you already paid for it when you sign it. That's where the flippity doodah comes in when they say you are a debtor. Then they set up 2 sets of books. I'm going to get more into that. I got a guy that's in accounting, and I'm going to get more into it. But I know I've had a little bit of accounting, 2 for net. But you got your books, you got receivables, you got accounting, you got a book of receivables, and you got a book of you got 2 sets of books. The balance sheet. You take the balance sheet. When you do any type of project with these corporations and you're filing charges against them, the first thing you want in discovery is to look at the balance sheet to show that they did receive your promissory note. That's all you have to prove. And they put it on the books. Now, they illegally put it on the books, not in receivables, but on the balance sheet to show that you owe the bank, or you owe the mortgage company, or you owe the finance company X number of dollars. It's a trickery. I think last week I brought it to you. I said, why is it that when you was in school, they taught you that a debit was to add to your account and a credit was to take away. That's how they taught it to me in school. When they said they're going to debit your account, they're going to add to, debit, add to, credit, take away. But when you got into the real world of trickery, they changed it and said a debit was a takeaway and a put in was a credit. So they would tell you at the bank, if you tell them you got a money problem and something ain't right, they say, well, don't worry about it, we'll credit your account at the end of the month when we balance our books. And they don't even realize. You ask an accountant, why is that? They can't tell you. One of them told me I never noticed that. What the hell are you talking about? You're the manager of this bank. And you didn't know they changed it from credit and debit to debit and credit? The hell is wrong with you? You're either a lying piece of crap or you're an idiot. Either way. Think about it. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. Think about it. It's the damnedest thing you ever see. And every one of you is guilty of it. You never ask them to give you back your promissory note. You never ask. That's some crazy stuff. And I'm gonna deal with that. We're gonna go into that next hour. And what I'm really talking about now is redemption. Redemption process. You're in debt. You're falsely in debt. And everything that they say you're in debt for, there's a remedy. Because if you understand why you're in debt, you can understand how to get out of debt. It's only a flippity-doo. Make them go back to what's right, and you can use the Uniform Commercial Code to do it. That's why I tell you today's program is called Uniform Commercial Code. In the process of redemption, you are dealing with the Uniform Commercial Code. The Uniform Commercial Code defines and regulates all financial activity. Every move you make on the dollar scene, on the commerce scene, you're dealing with Uniform Commercial Code. And it can only have traction, movement, or success if there's a contract. And you have never had a contract. You are presumed that there's a contract, and they tear your butt up every time because you think you got a contract. And you're not going to get this in one program. You got to get this information and sit down and study it on your own. And then take a little bit at a time and challenge. That's why they always say, anytime you get a presentment in the mail, you want to ask for validation. Please validate the debt. And when you ask for the contract, I'm going to tell you now what they're going to send you. They're going to send you a pay history, and they're going to send you two documents they send. Pay history and a copy of the agreement. Here you go. If it's credit card, it's going to be a copy of the agreement. Or any debt. That's all they got. And it comes from the law firm because the so-called debtor, which would be Sears and Roebuck, they don't have nothing on you. That's why when they get to 90 days, if you stop making payments on anything in 90 days, they turn it into IRS. IRS looks at the paperwork, see that you have them in default, because commerce has to keep moving. It cannot stop. So once they get you in default, after 90 days, they send your name, rank, and serial number to IRS. IRS will send them a digit, a number, or a digit. I don't know if it's a number or a letter or what, but it's a digit that they will be able to legally use to balance the books. That's why none of your Fortune 500 companies ever go out of business, because they continuously receive digits from the IRS. If you use standard UCC procedures, a sovereign human being, which would be you, sovereign, you got your credit, you got your birth certificate in order. You don't have to call yourself sovereign. They try to they scare you when you put that in your writing. I'm sovereign, which you are. What you've done, you have perfected your birth certificate, authenticated. So, and I'm saying that because Bush put in the Patriot Act that all sovereigns are enemies of the state. That's why they use Trade with the Enemy Act to get you, which is, there were 3 Trade with the Enemy Acts. The latest one was in 1933, when they said anyone in America, good, bad, or indifferent, within the United States or without the United States, meaning if you declare yourself a United States citizen of America, you still could be an enemy. And they declare you enemy through Trade with the Enemy Act. So you got to be careful to know what you're doing. It's not nothing to be afraid of. But once you secure your birth certificate, authenticate it, you get away from all that madness. They can't communicate with you because they're a corporation. You are now a solid natural person, known as a sovereign. Using standard UCC procedures, a sovereign human being, which is you, can financially take control of the governmentally created trust and direct its use to fulfill governmentally created duties, which are generally assumed to belong to the real you. That means that now, once you have become a sovereign, and I'm explaining what it is, when you have perfected your birth certificate, now you can really demand and control your straw man and the funds. Now, don't sit around like an idiot talking about, I want to cash in and get all my millions of dollars. You can stop that madness, that idiot bullshit. You can stop that. If your credit is not good, you ain't getting a damn thing. And in order for your credit to be good, you must create credit, and it must be delinquent 90 days before you can process anything. So you're not going to go out just because you done got your birth certificate squared away. You're going to run out and buy you a Learjet. You can forget that. It should put your ass in jail. You are an idiot. You don't even have a bicycle. Now you're trying to buy a Learjet. Are you out of your mind? You must have your and this time we're going to work with UCC. This first paragraph is talking about how they tap in, and you can tap into your United States Treasury Direct Financial Account. Your trust is a U.S. Treasury Direct Financial Account, which may be used to satisfy any and all demands made on the corporation the corporate, you by government, including taxes, penalties, child support, criminal and civil charges, and more. They have declared that all crimes are commercial. All crimes are commercial. And with that being said, that's why you must understand the importance of contracts and the UCC. Now, let me take one more paragraph that I'm going to show you where UCC controls all of your debt. The redemption program realizes that we have been slaves and servants of the world, and that we cannot have any rights or remedies or become free or sovereign in our own private rights until we have reclaimed that capacity of right or contract through the process of redemption. The process of your birth certificate is a process known as redemption. You are perfecting your birth certificate. That's the key to redemption. It is understanding that the process of redemption requires the payoff of a debt into which we have all fallen. As long as we are in that debt, we have no remedy and cannot be free. So I'm telling you, until you perfect your birth certificate, you can forget it. Whatever you come up with is not going to work. Now, let's take one article of the UCC. We're going to talk about Article 3 of the UCC. This is very important. When I read this, I wanted to scream, but I said, nah, better not. We're looking at, you can look up UCC 3, Article 3-302. UCC 3-302. It defines what a holder in due course is. Holder in due course. Who is the kingpin? You or them? Who's the holder of due course? Who is the controlling factor? Who is the one that creates all of the activity? It says in the first paragraph that this section, a holder in due course, is subject to Article 3-106D. Now, I didn't have a chance to look that up, so let me look that up real quickly. Go over here on this computer. I got a couple computers, y'all. I'm trying to act like I know what I'm doing. And all right. So we're gonna look up UCC 3. UCC 3-106 parentheses parentheses D. All right. Okay. It's called UCCD. It's called unconditional promise. Unconditional promise or order. And we're going down to D. If a promise or order at the time it is issued or first comes into possession of a holder contains a statement required by applicable statutory or administrative law to the effect that the rights of the holder or trustee or transferee are subject to claims or defenses that the issuer could assert against the original payee. The promise or order is not thereby made conditional for the purpose of Section 3-104A. But if the promise or order is an instrument, there cannot be a holder of due course of the instrument. Woo! Y'all got to get this stuff. I'm telling you, you got to really get it. Because it's saying, let me see if I got this open. Okay, I'm going to make sure my mic's open. Testing. 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 There you go. All right. Now it's open. Got to open up the mic. All right. Let's try it again. Maybe you can check with Andre to make sure I'm on. All right. We're dealing with UCC 3, title of Section 302. Article 3, Section 302, UCC. Defines the holder in due course. Holder in due course is the king of the hill. You are the one, whoever is the holder of due course is the one that created the transaction. It's the one that's the creditor, secured party creditor. Secured party creditor. Now, they've already told you that you are the secured debtor. They've already made that clear. You're the secured debtor. And I'm telling you that you are the creditor, which means that you call the shots. They don't call any shots. Now I can jump over here. I think I can get to 304A, negotiable instrument. We're going to go back. Okay, 304A. What is the negotiable instrument? Except as provided in subsection C and D, negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay or fixed amount of money with or without interest or other charges described in the promise or order if a, what do I want? What did I tell you? 4 was, damn, didn't get a chance to look at the number. Okay, let's go back. We're going back to unconditional order. All right, now the unconditional order says that except as provided in this section, for the purpose of Section 3, Section 3-104A, that's what I wanted, A promise or an order is unconditional unless it states and express conditions of payment that the promise or order is subject to or governed by another record, or that the rights or obligations with respect to the promise or order are stated in another record. A reference to another record does not of itself make the promise or order conditional. So if we read, that was A. All right. Now we want to go down to D. That's what it said. Go to D. If a promise or order at the time it is issued, or first comes in possession of a holder, contains a statement required by applicable statutory or administrative law to the effect that the rights of the holder or transferee are subject to claims or defenses that the issuer, which will be you, could assert against the original payee. The promise or order is not thereby made conditional for the purpose of Section 3-104A. That's where we're going back to. But if the promise or order is an instrument, which we do have a promissory note as an instrument, there cannot be a holder in due course of the instrument. Now we're going to A. Going to negotiable instrument, and we're going to A. That's what I read. Okay. Negotiable instrument. Except as provided in subsection C or D, negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest or other charges prescribed in the promise or order if it, number one, all of this is A, is payable to bearer or to order at the time it is issued, or the first comes into possession of the holder. 2, is payable on demand or at a definite time, or 3, does not state any other undertaking or instruction by the person promising or ordering payment to do any act in addition to the payment of money. But the promise or order may contain 1, an undertaking or power to give, maintain, or protect collateral to secure payment, or 2, an authorization or power to the holder to confess judgment or realize on or dispose of collateral, or 3, a waiver of the benefit of any law intended for the advantage or protection of the obligor. See, it's a lot of bull crap. And I'm going back to the original statement. It says it defines 302 defines a holder in due course. So let's go to 302. See if I get the same thing. Okay. Okay. Gotta do this thing right. Hold on a minute. 302. 302. Search for it. Okay. 302. Holder in due course. I Googled it. That's the old Ohio Revised Code. 302, holder in due course. Maybe I should put in Michigan. Yep, we're in Michigan, so let's put in, that was, wonder how I can do this quick. 302, 303, 302. Okay, 303. All right. I'm trying to put together this Uniform Commercial Code. These are freedom documents I'm trying to give to you right now. Okay. We're talking about 10 basic foundations of commercial law. The birth certificate, I got to save this. UCC 1. I know 3's down here somewhere. Oh, yes, this is a wonderful. Yep, granted. Oh, yes. This is very good. It's called the Freedom Holder Due Course. There we go. In commercial law, the ultimate owner of any document of title is known as the holder of due course. He is the only one who possesses a valid claim to the title whereby the goods or products are deliverable to him. By comparison, a technical holder may legally possess a negotiable instrument, but he lacks the ultimate claim of title held by the holder of due course and is nothing more than a receiver and collector of payments. The holder of due course receives the delivery of the property. The holder merely receives payments for the property. Definition: holder. Due course. Subject to. Is that what I got? Subject to. Subject to subsection C and subsection D. Holder in due course means a holder of an instrument if the instrument, when issued or negotiated to the holder, does not bear such apparent evidence of forgery or alterations, or is not otherwise so irregular or incomplete as to call into question its authentication or its authentication. And the holder took the instrument for value in good faith without notice that the instrument is overdue or has been dishonored or that there is an uncured default with respect to payments of another instrument issued as part of the same series. Without notice that the instrument contains an unauthorized signature or has been altered. Without notice of any claim to the instrument described in Section 306. Without notice that any has a defense or claim in recoupment described in 305. That 305 is rough. I must save this baby. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to save this sucker. Yep, put it in favorites for now. Come back and get it. This is called, I Googled and found freedom documents. Documents from sovereigns on how to attain freedom, not legal advice, just as works for others. So you got to keep that in mind. So what I'm really talking about is the claim that the originator and maker can make it set off because they sold an unregistered note. They cannot be a holder of due course because they are taking it subject to administrative and commercial claims every time there is a clause in the instrument. They create a mortgage purchase loan. With this whole process is not about mortgages at all because they sold the note and received the funds and closed the account by assuming they have repaid the originator on the loan. If they already repaid the originator on the loan, the living man or the sovereign who signed the note, then the whole thing is closed. We got our money back. We did not get our money back. So when you have to get into this, I'm telling you, let me see what the title of this baby is. I think the title of this article is called Securitization is Illegal. Securitization is illegal. It's 30 pages. It's called Securitization is Illegal. For all you heavyweights out there, you need to look this baby up. Okay? And figure out exactly where your rights are. It deals specifically with mortgages. Okay? And I'm dealing specifically with UCC 3, Section 302, which defines the holder in due course. And we truly need to understand what we're talking about. Now, let's go back to redemption. The process of redemption further requires us to see and admit that there is no more law of the land. In essence, in the commercial world today, in 1936, with the advent of Social Security, the corporate government of the United States began to place each and every birth certificate in the Department of Commerce as a registered security. Y'all hear that? Registered security. Each Social Security number issued has been eventually matched up to said birth certificate, and a pledge of each certificate has been made. This is a result of HJR 192, the bankruptcy of the country and the discharge of all debts dollar for dollar. The pledge of money on the public side of the account is what we all use today in the form of Federal Reserve notes on the public side. We merely pay taxes and on the interest. Everything we own or every will own is collateral, including our bodies and our children. When HJR 192 was passed into policy, the United States government was declared bankruptcy, and all commercial activity has now become or has been pledged to pay off the bankruptcy. You had nothing to do with the pledge of bankruptcy, nor did you have anything to do with creating bankruptcy. Telling you, you're going to have to do a little more what is known as research in order to free yourself. In 1933, Congress passed a resolution that all property is in the state, and you are collateral in that state. The government considers you nothing more than a straw man, a dummy, a non-de jure, a transmitting utility to carry out the commerce of the corporate government. You have no rights under the Constitution, and not one of us really owns any property or of our own. Can't get any clearer than this. I can't figure out why there's a problem. The answer is not to separate yourself from the straw man. We've tried in the past to revoke our birth certificate, our Social Security number, our voting registration, but none of these remedies provided that relief. The answer is to seek a way to register yourself as a private entity instead of pledging your straw man to a public bankruptcy government or entity. See, when it says you don't want to revoke your birth certificate, you want to authenticate your birth certificate. Two different things. The answer is to seek a way to register yourself as a private entity instead of pledging your straw man to a public bankrupt government or entity. The republic is still there. It just isn't accessible by anyone on the bankruptcy side. You see the catch? That tells it all right there. As long as you remain a 14th Amendment citizen, you have no rights, and you are accountable for the bankruptcy to pay all the debt of the government of the United States of America because you are a 14th Amendment citizen. The Republic, which is the original Constitution, is still there, but you can't get to it if you do not your birth certificate. You got to learn how to live two lives, private and public. You can't get away from it. You don't want to dump everything into the public. or pull everything into the private, it won't work that way. You'll starve to death if it's all in private, and you'll pay out of the kazoozies if it's all in the public. You got to know how to split it and live private when you want to, public when you got the hands wrong. Private when you want to, public when you want to. You want to accept what's good for you in the public and reject what's bad for you in the public. And when you accept it, you put it over on your private side. I'm telling you, it's simple. As long as you are a 14th Amendment citizen, you have no rights. None. You may access it by the right of private contract, by playing their own game, by playing their own rules of commerce, and get relief through redemption, if you know how. So when you go into the public world to buy something, you got to know what you're doing, how to do it. Use redemption with the UCC. Let's use the word pay it off. And then go back and live on the private side. It's a twofold process. I don't know how to tell you any better. It's just beyond me to explain it any better. You have two lives, private side and public side. Okay? How many of us have had cases in court written perfectly, well substantiated in case law, and having them dismissed on rule failure to state a claim, rule 12B6, and we walk away thinking our heads and wondering, how can this be? By accepting for value the charges, presentments in whatever form, for example, IRS, traffic tickets, civil or criminal, a presenter now becomes the defendant, and you are in total control. Once you accept it for value, you're in total control. Once any charges have been accepted for value, you may ask for an adjustment of your account and request the order of the court to be released to you immediately. Under the court, the order of the court is the order of the warrant. A presentment adjusted, the property is in question, the funds in dispute, the order of the court released in your favor for your benefit. Once any charges have been accepted for value, then you become the holder in due course, and these charges become private property, which cannot be regulated by commercial zone. Techniques that should be used as you. I've got people calling me now. They want my program on Accept for Value. I'm going to read this again of how it works. This explains how it works. How many of you have had cases in court? You've written your case perfectly, well established, well substantiated with case law, and having them dismiss it on failure to state a claim. And we walk away shaking our heads and wondering, how can this be? By accepting for value the charges, presentment in whatever form. For example, IRS, traffic, civil, or criminal. The presenter now becomes the defendant, and you are in total control. Once you accept the presentment for value. Once any charges have been accepted for value, you ask for an adjustment of your account and request the order of the court to be released to you immediately. The order of the court is the order of the warrant. A presentment adjusted the property in question, the funds in dispute, the order of the court released in your favor for your benefit. Once any charges have been accepted for value, then you become the holder in due course, and these charges become your private property, which cannot be regulated in the commercial zone. By filing a UCC financial statement, we are creating the one contract in the world that cannot be broken. The power of securing one's commercial affairs with this document is amazing. Understanding that the secured party in the transaction is the holder of due course. When we place our straw man in the debtor box, last name and all in capital letters, and we are the secured party, no one can come against you or your straw man in any way. So you can go online and pull up, I think it was $20, but I'm not sure what it costs now. But you can go online and pull up sos.mi.gov, and Secretary of State will come up. And you look in there for UCC on the home page. You go to UCC, you tap financial statement. And there's four boxes. The first two boxes are the debtor. The third box is the secured party. The fourth box is the collateral that you're going to use. Or that you're going to put up. Next, you must get a new Social Security card for your straw man and make your initial deposit of your birth certificate into the TDA.
Call from 1-313-942-6785.
Really unbelievable. Yep. You're going to go directly into your Treasury Direct account. Now you can deal with all those fines, taxes, everything, and all presentments from government servants simply by accepting them for value and returning them to the source. These are all simple processes. These are debts associated with your pledge to the public side, and where prepaid when you become a registered security at birth. The debt is paid within the redemption process when there is an offer and acceptance within the law of the contract. Law of contracts. What if I got anything on that? When you accept any offer in the contract, it's automatically paid. Because the United States is bankrupt and there is no one in the office for the Republic. Individuals are limited to remedies in commerce. In order for the real man to interface with the public, there must be a payoff. There must be a transmitting utility. The pathway is the transmitting utility, a pipeline. Redemption established the straw man as a transmitting utility. This transmitting utility is used to place the government into a ministerial capacity where it is liable to cover its own laws and statutes. After redemption, you can become private, having redeemed your pledge to the government. Government only deals with public matters. There you go. The redeemed man falls outside the scope of government authority as long as his acts and actions are private in nature. Now that's what Jonah Bate always talks about. You got to know how to separate your private side from your public side. I wonder if I have any questions. I have the chat room is full. I don't see any questions. I have a few calls, but I don't see any requests. Questions. Yep. So, with that being said, I can go into one more process, and that is contract. Contract is tricky. And it's tricky because a lot of people don't understand what a contract is. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3. And it gives a complete concept. So let's tap it real quick. A contract, an agreement with specific terms between two or more persons or entities in which there is a promise to do something in return for a value, benefit known as consideration. All you have to do is agree upon the consideration. Since the law of contract is the heart of most business dealings, it is one of the 3 or 4 most significant areas of legal concern and can involve variations on circumstances and complexities. The existence of a contract requires finding the following fraction elements: the offer, the acceptance of that offer, which results in a meeting of the minds, a promise to perform, a valuable consideration, which can be a promise or a payment in some form, a time or event when the performance may be made, meet commitments, terms and conditions of performance, including fulfilling promises, performance if the contract is unilateral. A unilateral contract is one in which there is a promise to pay or give other considerations in return for actual performance. I will pay you $500 to fix my car by Thursday. The performance of fixing the car by that date. The bilateral contract is one in which a promise is exchanged for a promise, meaning a promise to fix your car by Thursday and promise to pay $500 by Thursday. Contracts can be either written or oral, but oral contracts are more difficult to prove, and in most jurisdictions, the time to sue on a contract is shorter, as 2 years for oral compared to 4 years for written. In some cases, a contract can consist of several documents, such as a series of letters, orders, offers, and counteroffers. There are a variety of types of contracts: conditional and an event occurring, joint and several, in which several parties make a joint promise to perform, but each is responsible, implied, in which the courts will determine there is a contract based on circumstances. Parties can contract to supply all of another's requirements, buy all the products made, or enter into an option to renew a contract. Variations are almost limitless. Contracts for illegal purposes are not enforced at law. To enter into an agreement. Bilateral contract Agreement in which the parties exchange promises to each to do something in the future. Susie's seller promised to sell her house to Bobby Buyer, and Buyer promises to pay seller $100,000 for it. This is distinct from a unilateral contract in which there is a promise to pay to another party choose to do something. I'll pay you $1,000 if you stop smoking. There are basically academic differences, which are only important in the rare incidents in which one person has acted in anticipation that the other will have obligations as well. So we're really just talking about how the contracts are working, how they work. Unilateral contract is what you normally get hung up in. And they can be unilateral in that only one person signs. And then they have contracts where no one signs. You just accept the benefit, and then through acquiescence, they charge you to do something. Let's talk about this unilateral contract. The agreement to pay in exchange for performance. By a potential performer chooses to act. A unilateral contract is distinguished between bilateral contract, which is an exchange of one promise for another. Example of unilateral contract: I will pay you $1,000 if you bring my car from Cleveland to San Francisco. Bringing the car is the acceptance. The difference is normally only an academic interest. What we're really talking about, we're getting down to the last nitty gritty of performance of the program. That we must deal with Uniform Commercial Code, and you need to do some research on redemption. And the contracts, I gave you the numbers for the Uniform Commercial Code. So you need to look those babies up so you can interpret them for yourself. Because they're clear to me. I don't know if I made it clear to you, but once you start reading this gobbledygook, I should try and get Jonah to break some of this down. But see, Jonah doesn't deal with Uniform Commercial Code. Because Jonah likes to deal with private side. But a lot of us, I look at it as you can't just deal with private. You got to go commercial, or you got to go public in order to survive. You can't buy an automobile on the private side. I'll better yet than say, I don't know how to purchase it on the private side. All right. Now listen, tomorrow we're going to start with Beverly D at 6 p.m. We're going to go back to our original time slot, which was 6 p.m. And what we're going to do